I know you want to complain, man. Do you gotta do it for 40 minutes on end? Absolutely. It's probably gonna be 40 more minutes, so saddle up, you little bitch. These people have been ruining my favorite game for 5 fucking years. And the worst that they could do, the best that they could do, is they could come out with this pathetic excuse for an apology. I'm tired of taking every expansion, having to beta test a system for a year, while Blizzard, you think they pay us bad, we have to pay them, and then the people they are paying to beta test are fucking living on food stamps.
Well, I took one day off. And some shit happened.
I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I'm gonna go through the whole post and everything that happened, all of that stuff, and we're gonna get, okay, all right, fine. What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold. So, Blizzard has decided that they wanted to do something about this. They wanted to right their wrongs, and they decided to actually listen to the feedback that they've been receiving for 1 year. They decided to listen. They decided to say, you know what? Maybe it turns out that you were right. In the next few days, we will be updating the public test run with the first look at 3.15 patch, with updates like time-locking experiences. This time, we're visiting Legion with a couple of twists. These 0.5 patches, falling in between full content tiers, present an opportunity to focus on balance and revision of core systems based on feedback and data from the seasons thus far. Patch 9.1.5 will include several significant changes to the Shadowlands Covenant systems in particular. Once you've reached a high renown threshold, you will thereafter, thank you so much, Randy, I appreciate thereafter. I feel like I'm listening to Uber Danger again. Be able to freely switch among any of the 4 covenants without restriction or cooldown. Wow. So let's read this again. Once you've reached a high renown threshold, you will thereafter be able to freely switch among any of the 4 covenants without cooldown or restriction. Isn't that crazy? Do you remember for the past 6 months, for the past 1 year basically, that we've been told by Blizzard that this is impossible, that they can't do it, and now somehow it's just magically possible? Why is that? That's so incredible how these things are, that's so amazing how far technology has come in just these few months, in just this 1 year. Isn't it amazing? As well as use cosmetic rewards that you have earned from one covenant if you are already a member of another one. Both of the covenant switching and use of cosmetic rewards will also apply to alts and once the renown threshold is reached on one character. So I want to say objectively, this is an incredibly good change, and this is universally good. There's nothing bad about this at all, except for the fact that it didn't release with this. This is the way the game should have been on day 1. And I think this is the way that a lot of people feel. And I'm going to probably repeat this 4 or 5 times going through this whole thing. But the main complaint that I think a lot of people have is not that Blizzard doesn't listen to feedback. They do. It just takes them a year to do it. And in my opinion, I don't really care if it's like, oh, well, we have a development pipeline and it takes a long time for things to happen. Okay, then that's your problem and you're still wrong. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what your reasoning is. Just because you have to have 8 different fucking dipshits sign off on a change for the game doesn't make it okay for me. I don't care. I just want it fixed. It doesn't matter. Like, every day that it's in the game's bad. Every single day. And every day that we have the AoE cap, the game is worse. Every day that we have the Covenant features, the game is worse. It's worse every single day. It's not, the thing is, like, players don't think about, oh, well, it's gonna change in this patch, like, I'm just gonna stick around. No, I don't want to just stick around. I'm sick. I don't want to have to choose between having my cake and eating it too. I just want both of them because I'm paying $15 a fucking month. That's it. I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to have to think about the business side for why you can't deliver a good product. That's not my job. That's your job. And I also really resent a lot of the simps on Twitter and on different social media platforms, talking about how you know, oh, players will never be happy. Players will never be happy. This is not Blizzard's fault. Stop being mean to the Blizzard devs. Stop being mad at Blizzard because you know, of this thing or whatever. Yeah, I completely I think it's the most pathetic thing you can ever imagine. And the reason why I don't like it, right? Now, I don't care about a lot of the other stuff, but the reason why I don't like this is because I think that it actively makes the game worse. Because it's weird to me. It's like Blizzard, like the people that run Blizzard, they have like this existential need of validation. They have to be showered in praise. And I feel like this is the same thing about, like, they could have just changed the McCree name and been over with it, but they have to take every little opportunity that they can to just have any chance of somebody being able to pat them on the back. It's just, it's like this, it's just fucking just so cringeworthy to me. And I just see it constantly. It's like they couldn't stand the idea of not being in this morally advantageous position to fucking tell everybody else what they should think and be able to, you know, be showered with praise. It's like the rock star mentality that they said with the devs, right? They can't imagine themselves just not getting showered for praise and just doing their job. It drives me fucking crazy whenever I see this. And I know this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, and I know that I'm probably being an asshole by saying this, but after seeing it for fucking years now, and then with the lawsuit shit, it makes me mad. It really does. I'm so fucking annoyed about this. And so anyway, let's go back and look at these other things, okay? Conduit Energy is being removed. Conduits will be freely swappable without restriction. Do you remember how many content creators went and told me that this was not possible and they couldn't do this because of all of the super elitist players that are going to force themselves to change every single dungeon or every single fight or whatever? There's nobody. People kept saying this, right? These apologists kept saying this. And isn't it incredible how as soon as people quit the game, all of these things become magically possible? That's what it is. They become magically possible. And I'm going to be honest, this gives me really no degree of satisfaction because this is exactly what happened in BFA. Azerite armor originally shipped with a restriction. You could not trade Azerite armor, period. The stats were wildly imbalanced, and then over time they made it tradable, and then they added Titan Resinum, and you were able to buy the different gear. This is something that they've done before. I'm not going to celebrate and, you know, act like everything is great because they changed something, because this is the system. This is what they do every time. Basically, this is how things go. So you've got, let me go ahead and show you guys. This is the Blizzard system cycle. System introduced into game, disliked, feedback offered, and ignored. System put into game, players hate it just like they said they would. This goes on for 6+ months usually. System changed based on feedback received over 6 months ago that was previously thought impossible. Players are happy. So this is basically, and now new expansion, fixed system is removed. So this is basically what happens. This is it. And so this is the Blizzard life cycle of a system. And I think this is why I'm just change months to years. Yeah, I think that we're in that category now. And what ends up happening here, and this is a conspiracy theory. I said this yesterday on my second stream. There's a video on YouTube. I think you guys have watched this. I think that it's not a coincidence. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's a coincidence. You can't make the same mistake for 5 years in a row every single time and tell me that's not a mistake. That is planned. I think that they intentionally introduce systems into the game in a way that obfuscates the success of the systems, that makes it take an artificially longer period of time, and then after a period of time has gone by and you've exhausted all of the people that are going to grind out the system that much, then you introduce the changes in order to hype up the original system and release it in the way that it was originally intended to be in order to double dip on the excitement of the system. This is what I think they're doing. And I really think this because it's happened so many times. They're not selling, yeah, these people, and also I want to get this also just a little bit of a fine print here, is that the people that are offering these suggestions are neckbeards. These are people that don't even, their job isn't even a game, they're not even game designers. How is it that the game designers are unable to come up with better solutions than a bunch of angry neckbeards on a forum? Why are you even paying game designers to solve problems that the players have better solutions to in the first place? It's pathetic. And yes, somebody said it in chat. Occam's razor. The simplest answer is most often the correct one. Why are the game directors, why are the people, not game directors, why are the people that run the game? People get mad at me for saying developers because, oh, the developers just code the game. Yeah, fucking right. I'm sure that they have input on feed on changes, right? The people that change the game, the people that have the ability to sign off on a change that makes it into the game that affects players. These people, why is it that these changes keep being put into the game and the changes are put into the game in a context that players don't understand? Well, it's very simple. It's because they don't play the game. They log on and they do a heroic with their wife, and then they log off. So anyway, while playing alternate characters, if you've already completed a given Covenant's campaign on a different character, you will be able to immediately earn the Renown and Third Soulbind unlock without needing to replay the full narrative arc. I think this is, again, a great change. So let's go ahead and read the rest of this. While we hope that many players will be pleased with the increased accessibility and freedom for experimentation these changes will permit, we know that you might be wondering why we didn't make the adjustments like these sooner. After all, a large portion of the community has been vocal about wanting to see changes along these lines since mid-2020 when Shadowlands was still in, I'll correct this for him, alpha. So yes, we are definitely wondering that. I am certainly wondering that. I've been wondering that for quite a while. When it comes to the limitations on Covenant switching, millions of players experience Shadowlands for the first time through the lens of their Covenant of choice, and that would not have been possible had the choice carried less weight from the outset. Well, that's not even true. This is such a stupid statement, because if the implementation of the system that you had originally had, that you're suggesting and putting into the game, was in on release, they would have still experienced it from the Covenant of their choice, because they wouldn't have had the fucking renown in order to change it. You don't even know how the game works. It's literally, it disproves itself. It disproves itself inside of the lines. How can you be this fucking stupid? Who's making these decisions? You see what I'm saying? Read what he says. Millions of players experience Shadowlands for the first time through the lens of their Covenant choice, and that would not have been possible without if the choice carried less weight. But the choice, if the change and having the choice is fucking, it's built on having high renown, then at the beginning of Shadowlands, you wouldn't have had the choice fundamentally because you wouldn't have had the high renown. So the same thing would have happened. You don't even understand what you're doing. How can you be so stupid? And I don't mean to be an asshole, but this is fucking stupid. Millions of players experience Shadowlands for the first time through the lens of their Covenant choice. Yeah, and that's why they quit. Nevertheless, the conclusion of the Chains of Domination campaign, the Covenants are united against the Jailer, and revisiting player feedback in that context has led us to reevaluate our approach. Well, that's stupid. Who cares about, like, what do you mean in the Chains of Domination campaign? It doesn't matter. In the beginning of the Shadowlands, they were even more connected than they were at the end of the Chain of Domination, because Denathrius, they didn't go through a huge fucking revolution in Revendreth. They didn't have the Maldraxxus, the Margrave, whoever the Crexus, get assassinated. You had two of the leaders of the Covenants get basically assassinated and removed, and now the Primus is back. Who the fuck cares about that? And also, Carathistra is fucking, like, disenchanted, or, like, basically dead. She's, like, fainted. Like, how is it that the Covenants are more divided at the end of Chains of Domination than they were at the beginning when everything was just running according to plan. They don't even know, like, what is the logic behind this? Am I crazy here? It's bad writing? No, I think that, yes, obviously some of it is bad writing, but this is bad logic. Like, even the logic that they add to rationalize why these things happen is wrong. It's like, even based on their own rules, they're still wrong. In terms of day-to-day player experience, the advantages of a rigid division between Covenants have diminished since Shadowlands launched, while the downsides, feeling disadvantaged in certain types of content or having to choose between mechanical advantages and aesthetics, have only grown. I cannot believe this. I genuinely cannot believe this. This is unreal. You have no idea how the game works. Like, I really would love to see these people. Like, I would love to see, like, what their armories are. I want to see how they play the game. They have no idea what they're talking about. And it gets better. We'll see. The fact that Blizzard, the developers, thinks that there are advantages of a rigid division, I want to make this very clear. The fact that they are trying to salvage in any way, shape, or form any sort of rationalization that the changes that they forced players to deal with for over a year had any positive impact whatsoever is completely fucking insulting. It's insulting to everybody's time who's spent playing the game, everybody who actually understands the way the game works. It is a complete insult. And all it goes to show is the fact that they have no idea how their own game works. They have no idea how to make decisions and how to change things. The fact that, like, they think that, like, the first time with their Covenant of choice, like, it's pathetic. It's like they don't even know how renown works. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they don't even know how their own system works. It's unbelievable. Conduit Energy, however, is a different story. The system simply has not played out the way that we hoped it would. We should have heeded community feedback and taken a different direction a year ago. Yeah, that's literally what you said with Azerite armor. That's literally what you said with Azerite armor. Like, you said the exact same thing. Like, how many times is this gonna happen? It's Groundhog Day. A majority of players largely ignore the system and are unaffected by it. That's true. While the minority of players who want to engage in multiple content types competitively feel constrained by it. See, the word competitively is just unnecessary. And this is this weird delineation and this weird differentiation that Blizzard has made. They've actually convinced themselves that only 1% of players care about having their character do good damage. Only 1% of players care about their character that doesn't, like, they don't care about, like, the character sucking, right? Everybody else doesn't care. That's not true. A casual player that plays RPGs gets excited whenever they receive an item that makes their character better. Whenever they have to make choices for their character that put them at a disadvantage that's created artificially, an average player is going to resent that. This is not some sort of high-level MDI, you know, super epic gamer thing that only they care about. Abso-fucking-lutely not. One of the reasons why Blizzard is so bad with making changes is the fact that no one person is responsible for anything. It's because everything is done by committee, and these committees are cross-referencing each other, and there's nobody who is held accountable for bad decisions. I can guarantee you that's what it is. You can say, Ian, it's his fault, right? Oh yeah, for sure, it's his fault. But it's really not, because that's not the way that the development is set up. It's his responsibility, but it's not really him causing these things to go wrong. Does that make sense? He's still responsible. He is. He's the director of the game. That's the way things go. It's an unfortunate reality of being in a leadership position that even whenever things happen that you don't like, they're still kind of your fault. Anyway, so all I want to say here, these kinds of things are frustrating for, I think, everybody who's played the game for so long to read. Because whenever you look at these competitively feel constrained by it, overall, that adds up to a negative experience. Conduit Energy isn't really making the game better in any appreciable way, so we're removing the system entirely. We said that We said this exact thing. No shit. Yeah. No shit, Sherlock. As for the Covenant campaign skip for alts and the ability to freely swap Covenants on alts, this change is one outgrowth that many ongoing discussions within the development team focus on feedback that at times players feel like the WoW content they enjoy most is locked behind experiences that aren't nearly as appealing to them. Some of the feedback revolves around differing playstyles and content types, but a consistent theme is that experiences that were fun the first time start to lose their luster on repeat playthroughs on alts, especially when required for power progression. I'm very glad, you know, like, obviously a lot of this has been negative, but this actually is very reassuring to me, because this is an absolute perfect identification of what the problem is. This is exactly it. So just as the Threads of Fate system exists to allow players to skip the level up zone narrative on subsequent playthroughs, we want to give max level players a similar option to having to avoid replaying a Covenant campaign they've already done. This is good change. This is 100% a good change. I'm very happy about this. Yes, amazing. Great. As the 9.1 PTR progresses, we hope to roll out several other changes aimed at giving you more flexibility and choosing how do you prefer to adventure in Azeroth. We'll have more details to follow as we finalize our plans. Stay tuned for full PTR notes in the near future. What about Korthia? Korthia sucks. Yeah, I mean, it's a shit zone. I mean, it's just another version of the Timeless Isle. I think that Blizzard has basically just tried to remake the Timeless Isle every single patch since they remade the Timeless Isle. And the reason why Nazjatar and Mechagon were so great in 8.2 is they didn't try to do that. They actually tried in Mechagon. They were like, hey, we're going to make this cool new zone with a bunch of crazy shit in it. And you know what? It was a cool new zone with a bunch of crazy shit in it. It was awesome. I know you want to complain, man. Do you got to do it for 40 minutes on end? Absolutely. It's probably going to be 40 more minutes. So saddle up, you little bitch, because we're going to talk about this whole fucking thing. These people have been ruining my favorite game for 5 fucking years. And the worst that they could do, the best that they could do, is they could come out with this pathetic excuse for an apology where they try to rationalize their own decisions and not even understanding that their own decisions wouldn't have even been possible with the changes that they were implementing. Yeah, saddle the fuck up. These people are ruining my fucking game. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of accepting dog shit. I'm tired of taking every expansion, having to beta test a system for a year, while Blizzard, you think they pay us bad, we have to pay them, and then the people they are paying to beta test are fucking living on food stamps. You didn't know, like, where's the money going? Does Bobby need to buy a new yacht? Yet I keep playing it because I love the game. I started playing WoW Warcraft in 1997, 1998. I was a little kid. I love the game. It's not addiction. I love the game. I've always loved the fucking game, and that's never changed. But it gets harder and harder and harder to feel that way. You're a blockbuster champion? Yeah, back to back. And it's an abusive girlfriend? Yeah, everybody says that. The truth is that it doesn't have to be. The reality is that we can send this girlfriend to therapy. And we can rebuild her. We don't need it. This does not need to happen. This is unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. What would take to unsub? I will kind of just say, I'll say this right now. If the next expansion comes out and we have another version of Azerite armor, we have another version of, Covenants, another version of Legion legendaries, and the system ships without a obvious solution to an obvious problem the system has, like there's no legendary vendor or there's something wrong with it in one way or another, I'm probably just going to play the expansion for a month and then quit. That's probably what's going to happen. I'll try it out and then I'm probably going to just quit because it's too much. You have to, at a certain point, say enough is enough. And it's been that point, like last expansion, Like, enough is enough was the corruption vendor rotation. It was the corruption vendor rotation. That was enough is enough. But I stuck around. I stuck around because I thought, you know what? Shadowlands is good in a lot of ways. And I think that it is. I think the rating in Shadowlands is decent. I think the PvP, at the beginning at least, was fun. I enjoyed it. There were a lot of things. I thought the story for Shadowlands was going to be good too. I really did. I thought that it had a lot of potential. Now, I think a lot of other people felt this way too, who were WoW players. There was a lot of excitement about Shadowlands. Remember, watching Mitch and Zaryu and Soda and everybody play at the beginning of Shadowlands. That was so cool, wasn't it? That was really enjoyable. For me, it was. And I had a lot of fun. And I think the problem really, the biggest issue with Shadowlands is the fact that there just wasn't enough content. Like, that's the biggest issue with the game. Like, all this stuff aside, like, yeah, this stuff is bad, like 100%. But if we were getting 9.2 right now and not 9.15, I think that people would have a very different perspective of the game. So let me go back and I'm going to read the rest of this, okay? Sorry, I've been kind of like going off on tangents because this has been something I've been thinking about constantly. And also the updates for the... updates to improve the game environment for our community, including some additional changes to some content to better reflect our shared values, better visibility into the impact of your in-game reports of harassment, and more serious penalties for people engaged in disruptive behavior. I think that's probably a good thing, assuming it's not, super draconian and it's not overzealous. But yeah, this is probably a good thing overall. Legion time walking. And this has been something I saw Dratnos suggested this. I've suggested this before too, not just with Legion, but with dungeons even before that. They're delve back into Legion dungeons with Legion time walking and take on challenges within, including access to some Legion Mythic Plus dungeons. That's awesome. The event will run for 2 weeks' time the first time, and then it will resume on a regular 1-week schedule for subsequent bonus events. I think this is just a 100% positive. WoW content, but it's old? Well, that's good, though. Like, that's the same thing that we said is good about Final Fantasy, right? Is the fact that you can go back and do Bahamut and go and do coils with Min eye level and Echo off and still have it be a good experience. Like, that's good. So, yeah, I think this is good. So, these are the statements that they've made here, right? Fall 2001. Legion time walking with Mythic Plus, improved covenant swapping, legendary item recycling. So this is also a really big thing, is that the making new legendaries in Shadowlands is just annoying. Final Fantasy implements it way better, though. Time walking sucks. Yeah, I think it could be a lot better. And I think that they need to, they said they're doing legacy raid tuning, right? It's right there. So we'll see what that means. New allied race customizations, ability and talent buffs, guild banks, arena season 2, new arena bulletin board, group browser. This is all good stuff. New daily quests, new reps. Yeah, all the classic stuff. Everything about this looks good. These are all, I want to make sure this is very clear. All of the changes that Blizzard is adding into the game are great changes. These are all incredibly great changes. These are things that we've wanted for so long. We've wanted this ever since the very beginning of the expansion. But the truth is that I'm not going to consider this a win until we get these changes before the system hits live servers. I am sick of beta testing a system for developers who are too stubborn and too arrogant to imagine that players know what they want. Because we do. We do know what we want. And that's why so many people quit.
All right. I'm going to try my absolute best to not get tilted in this video. It's the third time I'm recording this video because I've been getting really upset talking about this stuff. So this is the Shadowlands 9.15 content update preview, and I'll have a link to this in the description box below if you want to check it out. Earlier today, I was talking about this on my stream because a lot of people were curious, am I going to come back to the game? Are people going to come back to the game? And I'm going to talk about why I think this doesn't mean much at all. Although, albeit, it's some great changes that are included in it, they are, in my opinion, pretty much a year late. The major ones here are Covenant updates. You can now swap your Covenant. They pulled the ripcord. You can play whatever Covenant you want. There's no punishment. You can swap. You keep all the cosmetics.
Do you guys remember whenever Preach interviewed Ian, and Ian said that it wouldn't be possible to pull a ripcord, and that like a ripcord didn't exist? Do you guys remember that? Like I remember that too. Like, and I'm just thinking about that. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I had spent months along with a lot of other people. I don't want to take credit for it because I have had people at the company get mad at me for apparently taking credit for stuff like that. So I talked about this along with Revo, who's on the forums. I saw Koike talking about it. Venice talked about it. I made videos for months in the PTR. Yeah. I made a video here. I made a video here. I made a video here.
It's so petty.
I made a video here about it. I made a video here about it.
Yep.
I talked about it for months, saying, hey, the gearing system, although it's an improvement, has some serious issues that are really easy to fix. Can we fix it in the PTR? Because, well, the PTR is when you provide feedback, right? That's the point of the PTR, the public test realm. I go on there to test things and let you guys know what's wrong with the systems there, right? It's help. And it's not just me talking about it. It's a lot of people. Well, no. It took them all the way up until now to make that change. And in this patch, they also promised that they're going to make some talent improvements and ability improvements. Now, the funny thing about that is although they may fix, you know, the systems in the game, the actual balancing of the game is completely garbanzo, right? Like I said in one of my videos that I believe, and I didn't mean offense to this, to anyone in the AWC. Apparently it was a little bit offensive, or it's been offensive.
What did he say?
But I do think the gameplay in AWC is embarrassing, and that's where the product is suffering.
It's trash. It's been trash. It's always been trash, except for like 3 patches. Like, who watches that and thinks to themselves, wow, I want to start playing this game? No, of course not.
But the gameplay is so bad that I don't want to watch because of things like this, or it's too damp. This is Smexon, who competes in the AWC, an insane player, and he's getting one shot by a Windwalker from 100% HP due to the Bone Dust Brew, spinning crane kick, whether it's a bug or I don't know what it is, because they've actually tried to patch this thing 3 times and haven't been able to do it.
And I want you guys, anybody who doesn't play WoW, this is all, so his health is at 100%, and this is at 1 second. So his health went from 100% all the way down to 0 in literally 1 second.
I've been seeing these, I'm just going to say what I think it is, these WoW copium inhaling Andes going around and crapping on other people for playing other. I've seen them crap on my friends.
Oh, bro, dude, people literally say, they go into my chat and they say to me, wow, so I guess you're just you're okay with betraying and killing WoW, the game that built you up, and you're killing the game. You've decided, you've betrayed us.
The funniest thing about that is you need to thank those people. You should be thankful for Final Fantasy or the Weeb games that people are playing, because without those games, people wouldn't
be reading those changes.
And because they unsubbed, that's the reason you're getting these changes in the first place. You wouldn't be getting these changes like this if people weren't leaving the game. When you sit around and you keep supporting the game no matter what, you aren't going to get the changes that you want. This proves more than anything, 9.1.5 proves more than anything that Blizzard will only make changes when they feel like players are leaving their game.
And that's what I think that we should do. If the game sucks, we just stop playing the game. Boom, that's it, period. It's done. I'm finished with it. I don't want to hear it. Like, that's it. I don't want to deal with it. Like, this is, it's bad. It's not fun. I'm quitting. I'm not playing. I think that WoW players are so conditioned to accepting dog shit that every once in a while they won't get dog shit and they'll act like they were just given like a fucking steak. It's not a steak, man. This is baloney. They're giving you spam. They're giving you baloney. They're giving you a fucking microwaved, you know, hungry man meal for $2 and you think it's a fucking Wagyu steak. It's not. They're just keeping you barely alive.
Tilted me. They knew, right? The fact that they made all of these changes, they knew what was wrong with the game. They knew what players wanted, but they didn't do it.
Exactly.
So many of them are just like, oh, skippable mall intro, let's get rid of that. Fix the item level on the PvP gear, sure, we could do that.
Problem solved.
It's like a knob. You put like a number. You just type in a number and you change it. They knew what was wrong with the game this whole time, but they didn't want to do it.
That's right.
They thought the way they had it was better. And it's
not. Like, it's not. They have no idea what they're talking about. Like, that's the problem. Is so, like, you need to have, and this is the thing, is you need to have developers that know better than the players. It is not good that the players are solving the problems for the game.
And that's what bothers me the most about all of this, is that this could have been easily implemented in the game during that 7-8 month drought where there was no content. They could have easily done these changes. Easily. But they didn't do it. Why did this even have to be an issue in the first place? Because you didn't want to listen? Because you thought the way you were doing it was right? Because you like sparklers? Like the Joe Dirt example. It's not what you like. It's the consumer. It's what we like.
Sparklers.
We're the audience. We're the ones that are paying.
I haven't watched
you
Joe
make the
Dirt
game
for so long.
us to enjoy.
Oh
Otherwise,
my God.
you end up in a scenario where people don't want to play your game and they're going to go somewhere else. And
Yeah.
when they go somewhere else, that's when you make the change. That's why it's so damn important to vote with your dollar. You know, let's see what else they add to the game, but it's definitely frustrating. Although albeit being good changes, it's frustrating as at least in my shoes. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
What Max is part of the take on the system? What is this?
So they experienced the expansion for the first time, and the reason they experienced it so well was because they were with their covenant of choice. And that would not have been possible had the choice carried less weight. Oh my fucking god. How can you go... how can you go from saying this to that? Blizzard, this is completely wrong. This is completely wrong. Like,
so stupid.
100... Like, this...
It's so stupid.
This is absolutely fucking wrong. No one, not the most casual person is this true. What a fucking idiotic sentence. Oh my god. How can you write that?
They're just stupid, that's how.
Not a single player in this game would have experienced this expansion in a less profound way if they could freely choose their covenants from...
What I find to be so funny about it's not just that. With the thing, like, I have to reemphasize this. I'm going to say it one more time. Based off of what they said about this, you would have still had the experience through the lens of your covenant of choice because you wouldn't have had the high renown threshold that would allow you to swap between covenants. They don't even understand their own game. They don't even get it. They don't even know how it works. It's unbelievable, man.